Hello, everyone. Sorry for the delay. We had a few technical difficulties getting Melissa connected on here, and I wanted to give it a few minutes and figure this out. As you all know, this new Google Hangout is new to us, so you have to bear with us sometimes. Hopefully, we haven't delayed too much. So we'll try to get through this a little bit faster than we had planned. But thank you for joining us. Again, tonight our training is for gold and above ambassadors. And our topic is how managing your team instead of leading can stall your business. Guys, I see this happen all the time. This is a huge deal. So tonight I invite you to kind of sit back and listen and see if you resonate with any of the things that we talk about, and see if you can maybe improve your leadership skills and maybe downplay those management skills that maybe you're using a little bit more of. Okay, our purpose in our Plexus business is to consistently grow, is to consistently learn, and to always be building our business or filling our body of water. So I know many of you have heard the analogy about growing a team in Plexus. It's like a bathtub. The water, which is our new team member, starts flowing in and it starts filling. As it progresses, some people decide maybe it's not for them, it's too hard, it's not what they anticipated, they don't make time for it, other things happen. Those are the people who go down our drain, who leave our bathtub. Your goal in this business is to fill your bathtub with positive, solid team members faster than those willy-nilly types go down the drain. So some of us currently have a kitchen sink size team, right? Some of us have a swimming pool size team, and there are even some of us who have a lake size team or an ocean size team, if you will. But we all will have the same outcome if any of us stops filling our sink. Our pool, our lake, whatever it is, it will eventually drain out and run dry, right? Some will just take longer than others. You know, maybe those people with a lake, it will take them months to drain. Maybe somebody with a kitchen sink, it could take them a week or two, depending on the size of their team and how quickly it drains as opposed to filling up. So if you are not consistently building your business, and our common goal in Plexus, right, is to add 3 new personally sponsored team members each month. Then if you're not doing this, your drain is probably much wider, bigger, it drains a little bit faster than you'd like, or your faucet isn't flowing as strong as you'd hope. So here's the kicker, right? You are responsible for how fast your faucet flows. You yourself. You should never expect your team to be the only ones pouring into your body of water. You have to contribute, and when you do contribute, you set this example. If your team sees you doing it regularly, not that you did it in the beginning and you were awesome when you first started, but doing it regularly, no matter if you've been an ambassador for 3 months, 6 months, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is, you will set the standard, and it will prove to them that it can be done, and it is being done. So it will say to them, if I can do it, you can do it too. So this is how a leader leads, by filling their own body of water and then helping their team maintain their own water. A manager, on the other hand, isn't filling their own bottle of water. They are walking around looking at everybody else's body of water, and they're giving feedback on how they can improve those bodies of water. They don't care what's happening in theirs. They don't care what size theirs is. They don't care who's coming in and who's going out. They are managing other people's business.
Yeah, can I say in there too, Hayley,
Absolutely.
Guys, you set the pace for your business as well. So if you're sitting back watching other people fill your bathtub, you're giving them control of the bathtub. At some point, you want to step in and take control of that, be a part of that and set the pace. So you recruit and your team sees you recruit, and then they are more apt to be recruiting as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the things that I often see is when someone reaches gold or even it's silver, especially if it's taken them a long time to achieve that, they get so excited about having a team that they focus more on pouring their water into their team's bathtub or sink or whatever it is, and not their own. So which are you contributing to more? If you're not promoting it at your regular speed, and when I say your regular, I mean, what is normal for you? We all know these journeys are different. We all know we go at different speeds, and everybody's different. So there's no comparison, but some people promote at warp speed. They promote every month or every other month, and some have 6 months to a year between promotions. But if you are not on a steady course, then you're most likely pouring into your team's body of water more than your own, or you just aren't pouring in anywhere. You're just kind of sitting back and waiting for everybody else to fill their stuff up. So sometimes when somebody has been an ambassador for a year or 2 years or even more, and even if they aren't ranking up, they personally grow, right? Because they're working on their personal growth. They've working on their plexus business. So they're learning and growing over this time, whether or not their team is building. And they often look at themselves as a much better, stronger leader. Now, they may actually be a better, stronger leader, but it doesn't negate the fact that they still need to grow as a team, and they still need to grow their business, and they need to have a team that they grow for. For example, if you're a silver ambassador and you have a team page, you hold weekly Zoom trainings for your team, you're spending more time reaching out to your team members and in their business and what they're doing, and more worried about what their IPA looks like than working your own business and doing your own IPA, then you are shifting to management mode. And why is that done? Why do people go that direction? Because it's easy. Isn't it easier to watch other people work than for you to step out of that comfort zone, than for you to reach out to people, for you to connect with people, for you to reach out to those people on your chicken list or on your Frank's list or whatever it may be? So when you're doing that, when you're letting other people work and you're kind of supervising or managing, you're not leading. Leading would be doing everything you expect your team to do, being in the trenches with them, growing as an ambassador as well as a leader, and devoting at least 80 to 90% of your time on your own personal business. Melissa, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, definitely. I see the same thing. I see a lot of people get to silver, and you guys are gold and above. So you really need to make sure that when your ambassadors hit silver, that it's not like, oh, you've reached silver, you've arrived. No, it needs to be, you've hit silver. We have to keep going because we need to get to gold. And you guys have all experienced the dreaded white lines. I mean, it happens. Attrition happens. You have to out recruit the attrition. Unfortunately, everybody you bring into your business is not going to have the vision. They're not going to go for gold. You guys have done the hard part. Getting to gold is a challenge. And I remember Hayley told me this before right when I reached gold, I believe, and said, you have done it. Like, that is the hardest place. Once you get to that point, is what separates the people that are going to do it from the people that say they want to do it. And I was like, God, you're right, because it really is a struggle to get there. So you guys have done it. Don't let your foot off the gas now, though. That doesn't mean you sit back and coast. You still have to recruit. You still have to work your business every single day. I mean, take some time off, of course, but you really have to still, don't forget what got you here. So I still work my business just like I did when I was trying to get to gold. I'm still talking to people, recruiting, intentionally reaching out to people. So you still have to do those things and let your team see that you do those things.
Right. And I actually work harder now building my business than I did in the beginning, because it was easier when you had more of a warm market. You had more people to connect with that weren't already in Plexus. I mean, it's great that all my close friends and family members are Plexus ambassadors or customers or whatever, but then that limits, your network. You've already utilized a big part of your network. So you have to physically and mentally be prepared to go out and reach those other people and find ways to build more of a network and more ways to reach out to those that you aren't already connected to. So it even gets harder as you grow. I mean, people think, oh, you're successful. People are just going to call you up and be like, oh, I want to be like you. Well, no, I have people that have watched me for years. I'm sure you're in the same situation. They watch you. They see you get your car. They see you making all this money. They see you doing all these great things. But, they still, even though they know you personally and they know how you've progressed, they're still not interested. It's not a magic potion to be like, oh, she did it, I'm going to do it too. You still have to reach those people and find ways to be creative and to really go out there and connect.
Definitely.
All right. So, while a leader can be a manager, not every manager will. and can be a leader. Just the term leader evokes so much more positivity than manager. Being a leader requires much more responsibility than being a manager because, like I said, when you're a leader, you do still have to also manage your team. You have to be there for your team when they need you. You have to work with them when they have issues. You have to help them get over the hurdles. And those who are a manager only, they manage. That's all they do. They don't lead. They just, walk around and watch everybody's body of water and make sure that people are doing it right. Um, you know, and sometimes these managers think they're in the game. They think they are really working by watching everybody else work. They think that's their job. That's what I'm Ruby now, so my job is to watch everybody else work. And that's not how it is. And, that just makes the manager, you're just then sitting on the sidelines and you're watching. You're actually sitting on the bench watching everybody else play the game. Even though you think you're in the game, you're not really there. And how do you think your team will feel toward you if you're sitting on the sidelines the entire time and they're fighting in the trenches for the championship, and you're just watching them? So, do you think they will look to you as a leader, or will they focus on who has stepped up as a leader that's actually in the game? Who has taken on that leadership role? Do they look to the leader who's playing alongside of them, who knows what they're going through each and every day? Or are they going to look at the person on the sideline who's kind of like, yeah, I think that's right. Oh, wait, maybe you should do that. Oh, I don't know, that guy looks a little big. Maybe don't go that direction. Or, are you going to turn to somebody who just went across the line with you and really say, okay, how are we going to handle it this time? So even if that manager on the sidelines is active and they're connecting with their team, or they think they're connecting with their team, or maybe they're connecting on their level, they are still only going to be at the absolute most, considered a coach if they don't get in the game and get dirty. Even if a team has a strong coach, if that person isn't actually on the field face to face with the opponent, the team's still going to look for a leader to follow. They will listen more to the person who is on the field in the game making things happen. The coach, or the sideline sitter, if you will, or manager, is much more concerned with the outcome of the game, right? The coach doesn't care what actually goes on. They want to win, and they're going to do whatever it takes to win. They don't care about the process. They're, of course, going to try to guide their team to a better process, but those in the field are concerned with the process. They are learning how to read their opponent. They are seeing how it feels to have a bad play and struggle against something bigger and stronger than who they are, and they're going to turn to that leader on the field for advice. How, should I shift this direction? Should I shift that direction? What should I do when I'm face to face with this? And most likely they're going to ask their fellow players, the ones who understand the game from their point of view. They're not going to go over to the bench warmer and say, how would you handle this guy? Because the bench warmer hasn't been eye to eye with this person or this opponent or this struggle that they're facing. They're not going to take advice from somebody who's not in the trenches and getting dirty. So let's kind of go over some major points that distinguish leader from manager. Melissa, you want to start on those?
Yeah, sure. Guys, the first one is leaders lead rather than rule. So it's kind of like the game that Hayley was talking about. Team members are going to relate and learn best from those that are actually doing the work, and not just saying, do this, do that. They want to be involved. They don't want to be a minion to a dictator. That's where your level of buy-in comes in from your team as well. Whenever you are there working with them and you're doing what you're asking them to do, they start buying into you as a leader. Don't sit back and wait for your leader to lead you. You guys are all gold now. Like, you should really be able to lead. And if not, then that means that you have not poured enough into yourself to lead. So you really need to start watching what your leader that you admire, your mentor. I'm not saying reach out to the person that you think is your mentor. People can be your mentor from a distance. But watch them, see what they do, see how they behave, see how they work, and try to duplicate that, and learn how to lead your team similarly to how that person leads. I have several mentors in this business that I don't know, but I follow them and I try to mimic some of the things that they do. So you don't want to be ruled. You don't want someone to tell you, hey, do A, B, and C. So don't do that to your team either. Lead with them, and then show them how to be better, do better, and get to where they're going quicker.
Right, and absolutely. I mean, if I feel like I'm struggling at recruiting, if I'm really, trying to be a better recruiter, I'm not going to go to an upline or to a mentor that doesn't recruit regularly. I'm not going to go say, okay, I'm going to watch them and see what they do. I'm going to go to somebody that really is actively doing that and is, open to sharing how they are successful. I don't want somebody to tell me, oh, this is how you should do it, and they're not recruiting. I want somebody who's actively doing it and showing me how it can be done, and I'm going to take their advice. So, okay, number 2, leaders listen and speak rather than command. Managers tend to give orders. Oftentimes managers in this business will say something like, go out there and recruit 3 people this month. Come on, team, you can do it. You're going to all go recruit 3 people. Or, even those that say, I'm a Ruby ambassador now, and if you want to be here, you should listen to everything that I tell you because I did it all right. That's why I'm here. And that's not how you want to be. And those people need their team to listen. They want them to listen to what they say, but not follow their example because they don't actually want to do it. However, leaders always listen to the opinions and needs of their team. Leaders are always ready for discussion and for feedback, whether it's good or bad. When a team member feels, as though they can go to that leader and kind of express how they feel, maybe they say, I know you want to implement this, but I don't know how I feel about that. Can we talk about it? When a team member feels comfortable doing that, it makes them stronger and gives them more confidence to follow that leader. Because they don't feel like they're being dictated. They don't feel like they're being ruled and told what to do. They feel like they're a part of the process.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's important to always empower your team, especially your leaders, your runners. Ultimately, you're going to make the final decision, but you should be receptive to ideas and what the feedback is from your team. Because while in your mind you may think this is a great idea, but you get pushback from several people on your team, it's definitely worth stepping back and taking a look at. Because sometimes I know for me, I get overzealous and I'm like, oh, yeah, we're going to do this, this, and this. And then I talk to my leaders and I'm like, oh, Melissa, I don't know, how are you going to figure this out? And how are you going to do this? And I'm like, you're right. How am I going to do this? So it's okay to listen. I mean, ultimately, you do make the decision. However, always be receptive. Like that is definitely a good leader. Listens, knows how to listen, and can take criticism, feedback, whatever. But you just remember, your way isn't the only way, and that's a hard one for me because I feel like my way is the only way sometimes. So you have to be able to sit back and listen to others. All right, the third one is leaders motivate. Guys, managers will most likely force their team into action or at least try to. Leaders sympathize, support, and teach, and then they back up their team. Leaders also learn about their team members and work with them to obtain their goals. Not everybody on your team wants to be a diamond ambassador, and that's okay. But you may have somebody on your team that really wants to get to their ruby level. I mean, I don't understand why they wouldn't want to be diamond. And I even say, what, your goal may not be diamond. I don't understand why, but I respect it, and you have to respect it. However, you still need to motivate and be excited. Excitement is so contagious, and if you have genuine excitement, your team is going to begin to catch on to that, and you're going to create that culture for your team. So continue to be motivational and excited. We have bad days. I've had a horrible day today, but I don't need to get on my team page and talk about how horrible my life is or post something miserable on Facebook. I mean, everybody has daily struggles. If I feel the need to whine and complain, I'll call Hayley, or I will put it in a journal. So always motivate, always have excitement, be real, get to know your team members, and just really motivate them. Hayley, are you there? I don't know if I lost her or she lost me. So I'm going to keep going. Number 4 is leaders teach and leaders learn. Um, a true leader is somebody who has self-esteem and belief in their system, but it's not arrogant or embarrassed. Guys, arrogance, really don't let that get a hold of you. A good leader is not greedy, um, and they know that it's not too late to learn, and to share. That is like the huge part of it, is always be willing to share your experiences and what you've learned Hey, I'm back.
Okay. I was like, wait, am I off? Is she off or whatever? Oh
You
my
were, I
gosh.
think you were off because I had a text saying that I was still on, but you were off. So I finished with three and started with four. But do you want to pick up with four?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how long, why don't you finish four since you got through part of it?
Okay. All right. Cool. So I just got a text. We're both back now. So, all right. So let's just start back with number four. All right, guys. It's about leaders teach and learn. And what I was saying is a true leader, they have self-esteem and belief in their system, but they're not arrogant about it. And they're not embarrassed to learn from people that is a lower rank. Guys, I have some people on my team that are silver and gold ambassadors that have excellent ideas, and I'm open to those ideas. Another cool thing about that is they're new in the business, so they're excited and they see things with brand new eyes, and sometimes we forget. So don't ever feel like, oh, I'm better because I'm ranked here. Don't get caught up in that. Always be humble with where you are, and be willing to share your knowledge. Don't be greedy with what you know. If you've been fortunate enough to be taught something or to attend something that changed your life, share that with your team, because all it does is make your team stronger. It just helps them get better, and in turn, that helps you.
Absolutely. I mean, our ultimate goal in this business is to have your team promote faster than you, right? And because you have gone before and you've learned from your mistakes and you're able to say, let me show you how this works best. I've tried this way and that way, but let me show you what works best. And let's talk about how you can succeed faster than I did. Let's talk about how you can do this and not go through the same trials that maybe I did. We're all going to have trials, of course, but if you can help somebody understand why things are done a certain way or why you teach a certain way and why they shouldn't do something, then you have helped them progress. And, like I said, if you went emerald in a year, you want your team to go emerald in 6 months or 10 months. You don't want them going emerald in a year or more, because that just, is saying that you're not able to lead them faster through the process. Of course, that's not always true. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer depending on the season and what's going on with the company and everything else. But your goal is to have your team members promote faster than you. And, you want to be that positive example, and you always should learn. And I am always listening to my ambassadors, whether they're silver, whether they're brand new. Like Melissa says, it's so great to have somebody come in and have great, fresh, new ideas, especially those people who haven't heard the same stuff over and over and over again. They're like, hey, what about this and what about that? And it's so eye-opening when somebody has a fantastic idea, and it doesn't matter what rank they are. And the people that, there are people that get to diamond and they're like, I'm diamond and I know everything and you should listen to me. And it shouldn't be that way, because you're always learning and growing. Nobody knows everything in this business. Nobody should dictate anything else. Nobody's anybody else's boss. You should be the person that you want to be, and you should learn and grow with everybody else, no matter where they stand. A leader never acts like they're the know-it-all. So let's go on to number 5. Leaders take part rather than watch. This was kind of like what I talked about sitting on the sidelines. That's what your managers do. They sit on the sidelines and they watch and they wait for results. They may yell a command or two, when they may show up at an event and say, okay, team, gather around, let's take a picture. But their team doesn't even know who they are. Maybe they send gifts in the mail to their team. Their team doesn't know who they are. They're like, who is this person sending me a gift? That's not what you want to be. You want to be involved. You want your team to be able to connect with you. But these managers that act like that sit on the sidelines, they're not ready to play in the game. Leaders are part of the team. They learn and they grow right along with everyone else. And this in turn earns them respect and recognition amongst their team. When we go to events like Mastermind or convention or things like that, I'm not going to know everything that they're going to teach at convention just because I'm diamond and maybe you're a brand new ambassador. I might know a little bit more than a brand new ambassador, but a lot of the stuff they teach at convention is new, great stuff. We should all be there to learn and grow together, and we're all going to experience it together. So, just don't think because you've reached a certain rank that, it's okay to not pay attention, to not watch a video, to not listen to a conference call, to not learn because you've already arrived. You always should be learning and growing and then teaching your team as best you can.
Yeah, definitely. And if you don't play the game, your team's going to eventually stop playing the game too. So Remember, you set the standard, unless you just happen to get really fortunate and you get somebody really good. But, I would feel so guilty if I had somebody on my team that made all the money for me and I wasn't doing my part. Like, don't be that person. Don't be that middleman that stands in between people that are really working the business. So play the game. If you want to be here, be a team player, do your part, and that way your team will do that too. All right, number 6 is leaders reprimand, but don't belittle. It's okay for a leader to offer constructive criticism. If somebody is doing something and you see that it could be detrimental, or maybe you've done that and it was like not a good idea, it's okay to offer constructive criticism to the side. Don't ever try to make someone feel less than. Don't raise your voice. Don't guilt them into anything. Like, if they didn't do something that you wanted them to do, don't make them feel guilty. In a public forum, especially, like, I have seen that happen. You know, Nobody has the right to humiliate you, and you don't have the right to humiliate anybody else. So, if you ever have an issue that you need to address as a leader, you need to pull that person to the side and say, hey, look, I'm a little concerned. This is going on. I'm not really sure that I think it's a great idea. Can we talk this through? But don't escalate drama by doing things like that, because it's just a bad situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you as the leader, and this is what I have learned, because I'm one of those that, I sympathize. If somebody comes to me and says, "Oh my gosh, she's acting this way, or she's putting me through this drama," or whatever it is, of course, if it's the truth, you're going to have sympathy for this person, but don't commiserate with them. You need to squash that drama. You need to be sympathetic and say, "I am so sorry that you're feeling this way. I'm so sorry that you're dealing with this. Now, let's focus on your growth and your team and see where we can go from there." You don't want to escalate the drama. You don't want to say, "Oh, girl, I feel you. She needs to go do this. She is so I can't even believe that she thinks she still works this business. She is not playing the game." Like, you don't want to be that person. You're going to escalate the drama. You want to be the person that is calm and controlled, sympathize with them, because most of the time we do truly sympathize with them, and there is so much more we want to say, but you're going to sympathize, and then you're going to redirect to how it can be a positive experience, how you can help them grow in this situation, and be that example of how to handle these type of things. All right, number 7, leaders offer a level playing field. They don't play favorites. Now, granted, leaders run with their runners, but they also give others an opportunity to learn and grow and become runners. They reach down and they work with those who are working their business and want to be successful. They don't just focus on those that they initially started with. Managers are the ones that work with the same 1 or 2 people from day one. And those people usually don't progress very quickly, because they're the ones who are easily managed, right? They're the ones who wait for a manager to manage them. They're not ones that learn and grow as leaders and step out on their own and really grow as a leader. And therefore, they never learn to lead and duplicate that leadership, and they never learn to teach it to their team. They're always managed, and they always manage their team. And this often does not turn very successful.
Yeah, it's definitely a good idea to keep it. I mean, you're going to connect with some people on your team more than others. Like, you're going to have the people that are your friends, the people that you work similarly with. However, you need to work as hard for everybody on your team. Like, if you have 2 people up for an emerald promotion, you need to really work with both of them equally. And really focus your time, and don't play favorites, because it hurts people's feelings too, and you don't want to be that person. You don't want to teach that. So
Absolutely. I mean, if you have, let's say you have 4 people turn in senior gold on your team at one time, and maybe, you've worked closer with one of them, you don't want to shout out and recognize that one person and leave the other 3 to the side and not give them as much recognition. You want to make sure that everyone feels like they belong and they're just as important as everyone else.
Yeah, and can I say too, be real careful with doing shout outs and stuff on team pages as your team page grows, because
Mhm.
you can leave off somebody or forget to do something for somebody. Like, whatever you do, it needs to be across the board. So make sure that whatever you're doing, you can keep up with it, so you don't hurt somebody's feelings, because that's not what you want to do. You have to set some sort of standard. If you're going to give gifts, then set the standard for what it's going to be. Is it going to be your level ones or your levels 1 through 3s? Or are you going to shout people out? You need to be real careful about that. So make sure that you're keeping it a level playing field, because it is hurtful when you feel like you've done a lot and you don't get the recognition. Because a lot of people like to hear that, that recognition, just that pat on the back.
Right. And can I just say on the other side of the coin, sometimes um, team members will be going through something, or they'll need their upline and they won't reach out to their upline, and they'll say, well, I was going through a hard time and she didn't reach out to me. As your team grows and as you have a large team and you have so many people to connect to on a daily basis, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you don't think, oh, maybe I should reach out to this person. You can't reach out to every single person every day or even every week. So have a little sympathy if you're expecting your upline to check in on you and they don't. Reach out to them and tell them, oh my gosh, things are going so bad for me right now. I just need a listening ear, or I just need to vent, or I just need some recommendations for how to handle this. Understand that we're all trying to work our business. We all have a life outside of Plexus, and we do our best as leaders to reach out to each and every person. But a lot of the times when you have strong leaders under you and they have team members under them, if they are taking care of their team members and you assume everything's great, you're not necessarily going to know that that person needs you or that you need to reach out to them.
Yeah, definitely. Gosh, I miss people all the time. I feel so bad when I miss a birthday, but it's like Facebook is so crazy. Once your team gets a certain level, it's hard to keep up. So, yeah, just make sure you keep a level playing field, have a standard. Hayley, number 8 and number 9 are kind of similar. Do we want to combine them?
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, number
What?
8 is leaders say we instead of me. And
Yeah,
number 9 is leaders give credit to their team members and not try to take all of the credit.
yeah, that's
So,
what happens when we don't work close to each other. We work remotely. So,
yeah. I mean,
but
our goal is not to be seen and patted on the back for being an awesome leader. If you're a great leader, it will be evident in your team and their level of buy-in. I mean, so often I can see this when somebody goes to promote and they ask for their team buy-in. And I see maybe they only need 100 points and they don't quite get there because they don't have the buy-in from their team. And somebody else will need 100 points and they'll end up 400 over because their team has really rallied and says, oh my gosh, they do so much for me. Let me step up for them. So others will see what you're doing by what your team is accomplishing. And that should be enough to satisfy you. You don't need to be on the stage. You don't need your face all over the graphic. You don't need to be the one that's always spotlighted, that's always, right out there. So Melissa, you want to expand on that a bit?
yeah, I mean, I do. I love that. I think it's always so important to give your team some of the credit, which goes into number 9, that leaders give credit to their team members and not try to take all of the credit. Remember, this is a business that's built on relationships and the buy-in from your team, just like Hayley talked about. So you still need to focus on your personal business, but you also need to recognize that you can't do this alone. When you try to take all the credit, your team, they're not as excited about what you're doing. Like they don't care that you're about to promote when they don't have some of the recognition for being there and supporting you. So you always want to do that. Guys, my thing is humility and humbleness are characteristics of great leaders. I mean, I've said to Hayley many times, if I ever start getting a big head, knock me down. Like, don't let me do that, because and it does. I mean, once you get to a certain level, you always have people saying, oh my God, you're so awesome, and oh my God, like, you don't let that go to your head. You're still a regular person. You still are building a business, and you still have a team behind you, and you have leaders above you that are helping you get there. So always recognize that, and always be humble and give credit where credit is due.
Yeah. And I mean, it's so important. And this leads us to number 10, that leaders pour into their teams and they encourage them, and this helps them grow. They don't cause the turmoil and dysfunction. I mean, like I said, you're not going to be the one that spurs on the drama. You're going to learn to squash it. And oftentimes it takes a while. I didn't know this in the beginning. I didn't know this when I was a senior gold ambassador, how to handle drama, because I was one of those people prior to Plexus. If somebody was drama, they were out of my life. I didn't deal with them. I didn't have to deal with them, and there was no reason to. Now there are people that are drama that are in my life that I have to deal with. So I had to learn. So don't expect to know how to handle things. And sometimes when you think you're handling things, maybe it's not the best way. Maybe it's not. So, oftentimes reach out to your upline or reach out to your dual upline and say, hey, I have a situation. Can you just give me some guidance on how you would handle it? And I'm not saying you have to go handle it like they do, but maybe you can kind of see from their experience and from dealing with these things how they would handle that situation. And you can kind of learn and grow as a leader yourself and learn how to best handle those things.
Definitely, and that's you got some of you have heard me say before, you need to think of yourself as a glass, and you need to constantly keep your glass full so you can pour into your team. If you're not pouring into yourself, then you're going to run dry. You're not going to have anything else to give to your team. So as gold leaders, you guys need to be reading books. You need to be watching videos by the people that you admire and follow. I tell one of my favorite people to follow on YouTube as far as leadership and things, besides us, of course, is Tamara Holloway. I love, like, she just has such a genuine heart, but she definitely is very business minded too. But find those people that you connect with and learn how to do better and be better, and then give that to your team. But you can't pour into your team if you're not pouring into yourself. So if you're not doing that, you need to start that tomorrow.
And absolutely. And if you don't have a team to pour into, you need to really work on this business building skills and building that business. You need to be growing that team faster than you're having to learn to pour into them. I always felt like I was playing catch up as a leader and learning and growing along the way. But you want that team to build fast. You want to really have a great momentum. You don't want to sit back and work on all this growth and this leadership skills and then not have anybody to lead. So how do you set yourself up to be a strong leader? What is it that you do? You do not ever ask your team to do something that you're not willing to do and are currently doing. If you want each member of your team to add 5 new ambassadors or 5 new preferred customers and 3 new ambassadors each and every month, then that should be your goal. And you should be working toward that all the time. I'm not saying everybody's going to hit that every month, because that would be a perfect world if we all did, but it's not going to happen. We're going to have our slumps. We're going to have our ups and downs. You're going to have those months when you go way above and beyond, and you're going to have those months where you don't quite get there. If you ask your team to attend a training, to jump on a call, to get to, watch a video or something on the team page, you should be doing the same and making an effort to show that you too sacrifice and you work in those trenches and that you're doing the same thing you're asking them to do. That if you're going to ask them to take time away from their family, then you need to be willing to do that also. Don't say, oh, you guys should totally get on this call. I'm not going to be there, but you should totally get there. I mean, that's fine every once in a while. Sometimes things come up and life happens. But if you're doing that every single week, your team's going to be like, why am I doing it? She's off hanging with her family or watching Scandal or whatever it is. You want to be that example and show that you too sacrifice and you too make the effort.
That is the truth, because let me tell you, Thursday night is my TV night now. I love to watch Grey's Anatomy and Scandal, but I sacrifice that because I like to do this. So, I mean, you make the sacrifice and it pays off. Oh, can I plug a book real quick? Because I was just thinking about what you said about how, you need to be pouring into your team, but you have to pour into your business. And I was talking to somebody yesterday about the book, 6 Figures in 6 Months by Clay Stevens. Guys, if you're serious about building your business, I got to tell you, I read that book 6 months before I turned Emerald. And here's the thing, I didn't just read the book, I did the things he did in the book. It was about his network marketing business. I'll go ahead and tell you, the middle of that book is excruciating, is boring. However, if you can get through the middle, the beginning and the end is excellent. It will give you some great ideas on how to build your business. And those are the things that you can pour into your team as you bring them on board. So always about the business building. Always build your business, guys. Always be recruiting. All right, so the reflection is, are you a leader that you would follow, and why or why not? If you were your upline, would you follow you? What are the characteristics that you wish your upline had? Like, if I were your upline, what would you say that I need to have that would relate better to you? And then ask yourself, do you have them? Do you have those characteristics that you want? And then what steps are you taking for self-development as well as business building that you're able to give to your team, to pour into your team? Because if you can bring information to them and show them how, then they're going to become more eager to learn, especially as those things start working for them.
Absolutely. I mean, I honestly couldn't agree more. To be the example, to be your own rock star says so much more in this business than anything else. If your team knows you're working and striving for greatness and they're right along there with you, I mean, you want your team to be trying to keep up with you. You want your team to, to really strive to be like their leader. You don't want your team to be like, yeah, she quit working months ago and we're just kind of rolling along and we kind of forget that she's even there. And that makes things easier for us. You want to be that positive example. You want to be the one that everybody knows and everybody knows is going to work and everybody knows they can come to because you are working every day. And they know if they have an issue that they can come to you because you've probably handled that in the past. You don't want to be that sideline leader where they come to you and you're like, I don't know, I've kind of never dealt with that because you're not working your business. You don't want to be asking questions about the comp plan when you've been an ambassador for 2 years just because you've never bothered to figure it out because you haven't had to. Be that strong leader. Lead your team. Get in the trenches. Work your business. Show them it can be done. If you recruited 20 people your first month or your first 3 months, but it's been 2 years since you've recruited anybody, you can't say to your team, okay, go out there and recruit 20 people. I've done that before. You need to constantly be the example to them and show them how this business can work continually and what they need to do.
Definitely.
All right. I hope that you guys got a little bit out of this call. Thank you for bearing with our technical difficulties. We're working on this, trying to get it better. Thank you, Melissa, as always, for being here and helping train and give your fabulous input. I hope that you guys have a fabulous weekend, a fabulous end of the month. I'm excited to see some more amazing promotions coming within the next couple of days. Good night, everybody.
Bye.